Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Super Jesus Jackson channel. Thanks for stopping by. We're talking today Fantastic Four First Steps. This is a movie I've been incredibly excited for. The Fantastic Four have a soft spot in my heart. Ever since the original 20th Century Fox films, absolutely love them. I think they're my second favorite supergroup, just behind the Justice League, just because it's the Justice League. But the Fantastic Four, I think, are really a perfect superhero group. They have great dynamic. They have great dramatic tension and elements and comedy. They have everything that you could need and want in a superhero group to keep it engaging for an audience. They're also great archetypes for just any type of storytelling. You can go super dark with them. You can go super light. You could go normal, where you have a little bit of depth, but also have a little bit of lightness, in there. I think they're amazing. And I also think they're weird as well. They just have so much normality, but also such weirdness to them, like the characters themselves and their superpowers, like the Thing and stuff like that. Mr. Fantastic, it's just so cool. You know what I mean? It's so unique. And I've always had a soft spot for them. And even, like I said, the movies, the 20th Century Fox movies, I don't understand the hate for them at all. To me, those movies are, well, they're nostalgic to me, of course, but they're also incredibly fun, but they have a decent amount of seriousness in them as well. I think they have the perfect amount of camp, but again, I could take them seriously. I don't understand the hate for them. I really don't. And so years and years later, of course, we're now getting the Marvel Studios attempt to tackle the Fantastic Four. And I gotta say, they totally delivered. I was a little skeptical about it just because a lot of you who follow me know that I'm not a huge fan of the Marvel films. I think, that they're a little soap opera-ish. They don't take themselves seriously enough. That's my opinion. That's sort of my taste. But lately, ever since Endgame, it seems that Marvel has also just, not been able to retain sort of the public trust and the credibility, I guess. Ever since Endgame, the movies that have come out have just kind of been whatever with the audience. And I haven't seen the majority of them, but just from hearing people and seeing how much they do at the box office, people are not really going to see these films. They're not really enjoying them. And I think it's interesting. I think it's very interesting to see the rise and the fall of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm interested to see what they do, because usually when someone is at their lowest, that's when innovation happens. Usually, right? That's what you expect. That's when greatness can come out, right? And so I watched Thunderbolts, for example, a recent Marvel film. I enjoyed that. I reviewed that. I didn't watch Brave New World. I skipped that one, but Fantastic Four First Steps, I think, it seemed to me like it was going to be like the beginning of something great. That's what it seemed like, at least from the trailers and stuff like that. And, going off of Thunderbolts, I was like, maybe Marvel can win me over. Who knows? And Fantastic Four First Steps is a great first step towards that. I mean, and I say that that almost sounds worse. I think this film is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely phenomenal. And yes, I am trying to not use the word fantastic in this video, but maybe I've already dropped it. I don't know. It's really, really, really good. And I highly recommend you go watch it. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. And it also really pains me to see some of these headlines, that the Fantastic Four movie is not doing very well in the box office. And it really pains me because this movie is, I was almost going to say it. This movie's great. It's brilliant. And it's such a fantastic time at the movies. I watched it twice, okay? And I'm contemplating watching it a third time. But let's get into the review. But before I do, there's going to be spoilers in this video. A lot, probably, depending on where I go with my dialoguing. But just letting you know, so go and watch the film before you watch this video. All right, so first and foremost, the characters and the world of this movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I found that, especially with watching Superman, which I also reviewed, the comic book films seem to be wanting to really double down on the comic book elements. And really specifically the fantastical Silver Agey era of comic books that a lot of people sort of deem as inferior. compared to the golden age of comic books or compared to the modern version of comic books, because this era of comic books is very, very fantastical, whimsical. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's very Super Frenzy, if you've seen that cartoon. It's very Batman 1966, that sort of thing. It's kind of like that. And to me, it's not the best era of comic books, and it really not. Like I said, I prefer a little bit more of a sophisticated take with my comic book films. And I saw Superman really double down on that. And Fantastic Four First Steps took their shot at that type of comic book storytelling and elements. And out of the two, I think Fantastic Four does it a lot better. And the reason for that is because of its consistency and because it just has better storytelling and writing. Superman, to me, I thought didn't know what it wanted to be. It wanted to embrace those comic book elements while at the same time reminding us over and over again, giving us references here and there to our world, to our culture and society, which makes no sense to me. To me, that's a contradiction. It's because it's supposed to be consistent with its world, and so when it referenced our world and stuff like that, I thought it was was inconsistent, and therefore it led to a lesser experience in my opinion, of course. But the Fantastic Four is more consistent with itself. The retrofuturistic aspect of the world, the family dynamic and the sort of feel-goodness of the Fantastic Four is there. The societal, almost the world of the movie, the society and the culture of the movie, the way that it presents, its society and stuff like that is consistent with its tone and with its style that it's doubling down on. I can give you an example on this is, so when the Fantastic Four go to Galactus, and the Galactus says, if you want me to spare your world, you have to give me your child. And obviously they say no. Franklin Richards is this godlike being, apparently. At least that's what he's going to be. That's what Galactus thinks he's going to be. The Fantastic Four say no. They go back to Earth, which the society here in this Earth, they love them. They're like all over. Like there's no nuance here. You know what I mean? It's not like Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Snyder's version, where like there's nuance in the way society views Superman and stuff like that. And like some of them hate him, some of them love him. Like there's no nuance here in the Fantastic Four. Like everybody just loves superheroes, right? Everybody loves the Fantastic Four. And again, this is something Superman did as well. But the thing that the Fantastic Four does is that it's consistent in that there's no nuance. You know what I mean? And it's not that it's bad that it doesn't have nuance, because it still does, but it's consistent. It still feels right. So the Fantastic Four tells the audience, so Galactus, in order for him not to kill our world, he asked for our baby. We said no, obviously. Everybody flips out. Everybody then turns on the Fantastic Four. And then time happens, some time passes, and then eventually Vanessa Kirby's character, Invisible Woman, comes out and says this great speech to inspire everybody and to tell them we're all a family here. Just because we're gonna not sacrifice our child doesn't mean we're gonna sacrifice you. She said that, and all of a sudden everybody got together, and it's very, very comic booky, very, very like there's no nuance there. You know what I mean? Like ideally, still parts of society would still hate the Fantastic Four, right? Because that's society, that's the world. But that's our world. That's not their world. And so everybody just loves them again. You know what I mean? Like, and what I appreciate that because it's consistent. Superman, on the other hand, did sort of the same thing, but like I said earlier, it sprinkled references here and there to our world that just made it made it inconsistent to me. It didn't make any sense. This world, everything about it is consistent while still having some nuance, specifically with the Fantastic Four themselves, and the characters, man. The conflict between Reed Richards, Invisible Woman, a little bit of the conflict that Johnny Storm has. This movie shows the flaws of Reed Richards. You know, it shows that he's egotistical. It shows that he loves to think about all the worst things and loves to almost plan. He likes to think about the worst possible outcome so he can prepare to avoid that outcome. But when he does that, he presents some ideas that can be unflattering to the Invisible Woman, to his family, right? And so his ability to think about or contemplate terrible ideas or unfavorable ways to solve a problem, even though it might solve the issue, but it's unfavorable. His idea to almost give that the time of day can be problematic, and it can hurt people. And we see that with the Invisible One. But that's what he does. He's the smartest guy in the Marvel universe, but there is that downside to him. And Johnny Storm has always been sort of the black sheep. He's always been trying to fit in with the Fantastic Four because they think he's just some womanizer guy who just has cool powers, has the coolest powers of the group. And he's smart enough, but he's not Reed Richards. He's not, the Thing, like he's a cool guy with some cool fire powers. And he's a part of the group. Yeah. But like, he's kind of like the child, of the group. And he's always trying to prove himself. And we see that in this movie. And he does end up doing that, right? And so there's nuance to the character there. And also there's this big fear that perhaps this movie was going to be, it was not going to have Johnny Storm be Johnny Storm. Like he wasn't going to be, a ladies guy at all. Vanessa Kirby was the Invisible Woman was going to be the leader of the Fantastic Four. Like none of that happens. Like Reed Richards is still the leader. Johnny Storm still likes women. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's still all over women. Like we see that, but there's nuance and there's reason to it. And we see it kind of almost fleshed out in a cool way. Like Johnny Storm in the movie, he loves space. He loves to like learn stuff. He has like this curiosity to himself, which is really endearing. And we see that the Silver Surfer is a perfect muse to that, because she's a woman, she's attractive, and she's a part of space, and she's unknown. And that's very alluring to Johnny Storm. So it still keeps all the elements of Johnny Storm while giving it a little bit more depth. And that's so cool, dude. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this movie's so good. This movie's so good. And the Thing, which he looks great, by the way. I'll get to the CGI, but he looks really good. The Thing is the base of the group. And here's the thing about it is that there's still nuance here because you can see a little bit here and there in the movie that the Thing is he still has some of his internal, demons and self-doubt inside him, but it doesn't come out, overtly, like usually when he's down on himself, he's alone. When he's with the group, he doesn't show it, and that is cool. That has nuance and depth. This version of the Fantastic Four also take place 4 years into their existence. And so you can sort of make the argument that Ben Grimm has already gone through an ugly part of his, evolution as the Thing. And so now he's sort of recovering, you know what I mean? Like he's gone through all the bad stuff. He's now recovering. But you still see, and so, and that is consistent in the sense that in this movie, you occasionally see a little bit of him, like sort of looking at himself in the mirror and being like, I wish and you could see it in himself that he wishes he looked human again, but it's sprinkled here and there. It's not the whole thing. But even then, with it being sprinkled there, that the movie's trying to tell you he is still dealing with that stuff by himself. Inside that rock, that rhinoceros skin that he has. And like I said, when he is alone, that's when you see him sort of really kind of be down on himself and you really see it. And I thought that was just brilliant because like I said, the Thing is when he's with the group, he's the rock of them, literally. He's the base. He's the thing that keeps them together. He's the one guy where if Reed and Susan and Johnny are arguing, he will come in and be like, guys, we're a goddamn family. What are we doing? Like he would be that guy. And we see that while also we know that inside he has problems himself, And I think it's just absolutely brilliant. And Invisible Woman, played by Vanessa Kirby, fantastic. I'm going to say this. This movie, it feels like it is an ode to femininity, to mother, to maternal love. Like, this movie is so beautiful in that way. And I know that, you know, to a certain extent, some people were worried that this movie was going to be, you know, too, you know, just for a lack of a better term, too woke or whatever. And that is not the case at all. This movie approaches the character of the Invisible Woman in such like sincerity and such sophistication that like she's very, very important. And you can say almost she's the heart of the group, but in the same way that you could say that Ben is the heart of the group. But Ben is the person that keeps them together. You know, Invisible Woman is the heart of the group, you could say, right? And that really is the case here in this movie. And that it really helps that in the movie she's pregnant and she has a kid, like, you know, like that is a thing. But it's, you know, and she has a very important role. She's almost kind of like the diplomat. Like she's the person that like has these like almost United Nations type meetings with like other countries and stuff like that. So she's very important in that way. You know, it's 2025. We got to have the woman, you know, do really important shit, right? And so she does that, but it doesn't take away from her still being a beautiful, loving, feminine mother. Like, you know, like, and that's really fucking cool, you know, like to have that nuance, you know, like the problem is when you make a character one sole thing and you have that character just be that thing, you know, like when there's no nuance or depth, that's what makes it bad. You know, it has nothing to do with what you're trying to say. You know what I mean? Like it's how you do it. And so I just thought she was fantastic. God damn it, I said it. I did it. Yeah, I said it. You could take a drink now. You could take your whiskey shot. But the characters here, I wanted. Am I gonna get to this? Let me see my notes. Yeah, I'm gonna get to this. I'll keep it right there. But the characters are fantastic. And it's, God damn it, I did it. It's funny. You know, the characters are funny. The characters are endearing. The characters are sophisticated enough. Their dialogue isn't bad. It's great writing. The dynamics just great. The acting is absolutely phenomenal, especially Pedro Pascal. Oh my God, this man! I don't understand the hate for Pedro Pascal. This man, whatever he does, wherever he's in, he just kills it. He just kills it. If Pedro Pascal is in your movie's better. Period. Like, it just is, okay? Like, I don't understand this Pedro Pascal hate. I know he's everywhere, but, like, when he is there, he's fantastic. So there we go. I mean, I don't see what the problem is. He has a scene specifically towards the end. I think you all know what I'm talking about. The Invisible Woman dies, basically. And the acting from Pedro Pascal especially, but everybody, but Pedro Pascal especially, he sells it, man. He sells it like no other, man. Just amazing. And he plays Reed Richards in general just really, really well. He plays this, you know, like 1960s, like smart dude, you know, perfectly well, but he has sensitivity to himself. He has that edge. Sincerity. This movie is just very sincere, you know, like, and just heartwarming and endearing. Like, there's nothing to hate about this film. Nothing to hate about it. Like, it's just so pure, dude. Like, that's what this movie is, and the acting really sells it. Even The Thing, dude, you know, like, which he's a CGI character. They do such a fantastic job with that. And Eben Moss-Bachrach, just fantastic. An Emmy Award-winning actor. Joseph Quinn, also another dude that is in a lot of things. Every time he's in something, he kills it. He kills it here as Johnny Storm. Really, really does. And of course, Vanessa Kirby is Invisible Woman. Just phenomenal stuff. She has a lot of anger. You know, there's this plethora of emotions to her. You know, there's anger, there's warmth, there's love, a lot of that. This movie does a lot of the small things just right. You know, like, for example, when Johnny Storm, when we see him struggling to try to fit in the group and trying to kind of have trying to be as smart as Reed, you know, trying to, you know, have something to contribute, for the plan to save the world or whatever. Like when he's trying to do that, you just see occasionally Invisible Woman go and visit Johnny, because they are siblings. She goes and she's the one that almost kind of like, cheers him on a little bit and listens to him when nobody else will listen to him. Small things like that this movie has that is just fucking fantastic, dude. Or the banter between Johnny Storm and the Thing, which is not toxic as like it kind of was in the 20th Century Fox films. This one, again, it might have been a little toxic at the beginning, or maybe not, because this film takes place in a perfect, almost comic booky world. The banter between Johnny Storm and the Thing are perfect. It's like perfect teasing to the point where it's not bullying, but like, they both like, they both have this nice banter between each other. It truly feels like two brothers, that ultimately still love each other very much. I also like just how Mr. Fantastic, they have him use his powers like in just basic normal ways, like putting a baby seat in the car, like a car seat or whatever. They have him to stretch his hand a little bit to reach around and do it. Just small things like that sprinkled throughout the film that really just make it immerses you almost in the story and in the movie. It just makes us feel like we're there. You know what I mean? This is almost like kind of like when you watch like a reality TV show, and stuff like that, like, and you see people be themselves, and just do normal things, in their way. Like that's kind of what it feels like. And it's a good thing. Normally reality TV would not be a good thing, but no hate, no disrespect to those of you who enjoy it, but that's kind of what it feels like. And it's a good thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's cool. The cinematography of this movie, the way it's shot, oh my God, so many times when I would see a shot or an angle and I'd be like, wow, that's awesome. Obviously I can think of right now when they first meet Galactus, they're super tiny and like the whole screen is like all the Galactus and you just see his eyes like, oh, it's so beautiful. Silver Surfer, the sequences in this film are just amazing, man. I mean, just like incredible. Oh my God, there's so much attention to detail in the way that this film looks that I really appreciate. So many cool shots of when Johnny Storm meets the Silver Surfer and like the sun is like right between them and they're just sort of in space. Like, so beautiful. The shot of Galactus looking at the Statue of Liberty. Oh my God, so good. So many other things, dude, that I just love. And even normal things, just normal scenes are shot really, really well. This right here is probably one of the biggest compliments I can give this film, which again, it's a Marvel film. I'm always weary about the humor. I thought, and even on the DC side, this new Superman film, I thought the humor was a little bit too much. I didn't think it was funny at all. This film's humor is so well done. And you know what it is? You know what the biggest thing about it is? And this is something my girlfriend pointed out, which is that the reason why the humor in this movie works is not only because the humor is well written, but also because not everybody is cracking a goddamn joke. You don't have Galactus, the villain of the film, cracking a joke because it doesn't make sense for him to crack a joke. You don't have Reed Richards cracking a joke because it doesn't make sense with having him crack a joke in the way that we envision a typical Marvel joke. The majority of the time, the person that's cracking a joke is either the Thing or especially Johnny Storm. And it makes sense that it's Johnny Storm because it's Johnny Storm. Like, that's what he does. So it makes sense. And here's the thing is this is what happens when you just do great writing and great character writing, which is when a character like Johnny Storm says a joke, the joke is made funnier in the way that other characters who are not as funny as he is react to that joke. So there was a scene where like Johnny Storm is talking about, hey guys, like I went and talked to the Silver Surfer. She spoke to me in her language, like listen to me or whatever. Like, and he is being funny in the way that he's like, because Susan Storm is asking him, okay, what did she sound like? What was her tone or whatever? And then he's like responding and he's being funny and just being dumb or whatever. Like, and everybody's reacting to it. The Thing is adding to it because he's like picking at Johnny a little bit. And then like Johnny says like she was like naked or whatever. I don't know what it was. And then like Reed just said something really smart as a response. And he said, well, I don't think she was naked. I think it was her composition or whatever, like her spatial composition, just something, right? That Reed would say. It's super smart, like a scientific reason why she would be naked or whatever, right? And like, and that's funny. But he wasn't trying to be funny. You know, he was being Reed Richards, but that made it funny, right? And so like, it came out funny, right? And so like that is what the genius of good writing is. Like that's what good writing is. Like, and all these Marvel movies and this Superman film, like they are, every single character is cracking a joke, every single character is sarcastic. Like it doesn't make any sense. And it just feels honed in, it feels forced. This movie is natural. Like it treats its characters like they are real characters, you know, like and real people. And I just, God, it's so well done, man. It also has moments where dialogue doesn't feel like exposition dump, unlike some other movies that shall remain nameless. There's moments where the movie lets you, there's a part in the movie where like Reed Richards is going to use Franklin Richards, their baby, to lure Galactus, right? And he mentions the plan. He says, we have to lure Galactus. And then everybody's like, what are you talking about? And Reed turns to see because they have a little camera, a little video of their baby sleeping in the crib. And he's looking at that video and he's just staring at it. And you can see in his eyes and his face that he doesn't want to say, we have to use our child, but that's what we have to do. And that's the part of Reed that is really interesting that this film explores, right? Which is that he is willing and able to ponder and to even do unfavorable things to do the right thing, because he always wants to avoid the bad outcome, right? But sometimes avoiding the bad outcome involves doing unfavorable things. But because he's a scientist, because he uses the scientific method, he is going to think about all those possibilities. And so all those things are in his head. He has no filter in that way, right? And so he looks at the baby and he doesn't say that it's the baby, you know, like he doesn't like outwardly say, I'm going to have to use Franklin Richards. Like he doesn't say that. The audience knows that. He's looking at the baby. You could see the depression in his face. And then he turns to Vanessa Kirby because people are saying, Johnny Storm or the Thing say like, well, what do we have to do, Reed? And he's like, I don't know how we're going to do it. And then Vanessa, Invisible Woman, says like, yeah, you do. You know, like, and so like, that's it. Like we don't need to actually say, you know, the plan or whatever. We know what the plan is like, and it's great. It's absolutely great. Like, it's fantastic. And then, you know, both her and him, like clearly had a little bit of tension there, but that was the right thing to do. So they did it. And it was really good stuff. Really good stuff. And that's the beauty of the drama of the Fantastic Four, but it also just, it really shows the great writing of this film. This film is ultimately about, you know, the power of family, of selflessness. It's an ode to femininity, to the family connection, to the power of a mother's love. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. You know, the times that Invisible Woman uses her powers at her greatest potential is when she is trying to save her family, you know, like, and I just think that's so goddamn beautiful. It's a perfect way to show the power of a female while also not stripping or taking away the thing that makes, a female feminine, right? You know what I mean? Like, and it's great. It's absolutely great. And it also doesn't make all the other characters lesser. All the other characters have a perfect role and have a very necessary role. Everybody in this film, The Thing, Johnny Storm, Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby, they're not compromised as characters to fit some sort of message or theme or whatever. Everybody is equal. Like, and they do it like what they need to do. Everybody does something that helps everybody out. You know what I mean? Like, it's perfect. That's how you do a goddamn story. That's how you do a superhero group film, you know? I think also the film's action has true intensity and has stakes. And you're just in it. The black hole sequence in this film when the Silver Surfer is chasing them and stuff like that. Oh my God, it is so good. So good. And, you know, there's so much climax and intensity there. That's when Invisible Woman has her child. And then obviously towards the end when Galactus is trying to get to Franklin and stuff like that. And the whole team is trying to save Franklin. So amazing. And it finally leads to, you know, Invisible Woman dying and having a really depressing, end of a climax. But then you have Franklin, of course, saving her. And that just, oh my God. It's so emotional, dude. This film really got to me the second time I watched it. I mean, you're not going to be bawling or anything like that, but like it really does. It really does make you feel good in such a genuine way. And the last thing, that I'll say is this, and it's sort of something I've said earlier, but if you're going to have a movie where there's no origin story, which it seems like we're going to start having a lot of comic book films like that, we're in this era now where we're done with origin stories for now. We don't need to see the origins of characters. We know this is the way to do it right here with the Fantastic Four. However, that being said, this film still feels like a sequel, just like Superman did. And again, it's not a bad thing because there's no origin story. That's what this film was going for. So I get it. However, I'm still a little torn, and I'm not. This isn't a criticism to the film. This is just an observation of where sort of comic book films are seeming to go to. Which is like I wish we would have gotten a first, Fantastic Four film. Because there was a little montage in the beginning that was really cool. You got to see like the Fantastic Four fight like some of their original villains and stuff like that, which is like really cool. And I was like, God, I would have wished to see that like in a full on movie, and just see like their transformations and everything. Like, and maybe you don't go super like maybe you don't go super into their career. Maybe you go in a year in or 2 years in, maybe not. Maybe you don't go all the way 4 years, where like the film feels like a sequel. I'm not saying you have to go all the way to the beginning, but like, I don't know. I would have liked to see. And then really the main thing about it is because I loved the characters and the dynamic that these characters had, like I love this world and these characters so much that I just wish we had another solo film, and we're not going to get it. We're going to get Avengers, Doomsday, and fucking Secret Wars. And we're not going to see these characters stand alone. We're not going to see it, and it's such a shame. Like this movie is so good. And that my criticism is that, goddamn, I wish we had a first movie, I wish we did. And that I wish, I wish we could see their whole journey. I don't need to see other characters. I don't need to see Spider-Man with them. I don't need to see the Hulk. I just want to see the Fantastic Four. Like, oh God, it was so well done, and it's just like, and it's gonna be just shoved in with a bunch of other characters. That's how we're gonna see them in the next movies, and it's such a shame. It's this is how much I love this film, is that I wish we just had more of them like this, And I also wish the film was longer. Clearly, this film felt a little bit like some people's criticism had like, oh, like the passage of time is a little weird, or like it just feels like clearly it was cut a little bit here and there, a little bit too much. And I can certainly understand that. Studios just really desperately always want to stay under the 2 hour mark, slightly under the 2 hour mark, which is annoying. Really great movies, don't be afraid to make them 2.5 hours if they're really great movies. Like, I wish this movie was 2.5 hours. Clearly, there was stuff that they took out. I know they did. You could kind of feel it. And especially because some of the trailer stuff is not in this movie. So some small stuff here and there, I think. But I think when you put it all together, maybe this movie would have been maybe 15 or 20 minutes longer. I don't know. Or up to 30. I don't know. Hopefully when the movie comes out in 4K, maybe we get the extended cut. I don't know. I doubt it. It's not like this director, Zack Snyder. So those are my thoughts on Fantastic Four: First Steps. A beautiful, beautiful film. It is truly a feel-good film in all the right ways and in all the sophisticated ways. It's so good. I left the theater with a big smile on my face, with this film. And I kind of want to see it a third time. I don't know. We'll see. But enough of me. What are your thoughts on the Fantastic Four First Steps? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Gosh, I sound like Anthony Fantano. But did you enjoy it? If so, let me know what you liked about it. What do you agree with my takes? Maybe you just highly disagree with me. Why? Maybe you have a criticism that I don't have. I'm interested to read your comments on that. Give this video a like if you like, dislike it if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. You want to see more stuff like this. Share with your Fantastic Four or superhero-loving friends if you will. If it's your birthday, happy birthday to you, you beautiful creature. But I think that's it for me. You all take care, stay safe, and until next time, I love you.